Welcome to the Mind Grow Radio Storyteller Series podcast. I am your host, Stephanie Kathan, and I'm so excited to introduce you to today's guest. Her name is Amanda Green, and she spent 12 years chasing breaking news in Florida TV newsrooms before turning that news nose into a business. Now she's the founder of In Your Voice Media Works, where she helps cause-driven organizations stop guessing at their story and start telling it like a newsroom would, with strategy, discipline, and an eye for what kind of stories people want to receive. She's also the PR chair of Fem City Orlando and writes the newsletter, So Now You're a Journalist. Please help me welcome to the Mind Grow Studio, Amanda Green. Welcome.
Hi, Stephanie. Thank you for having me.
I love the way that we connected. Amanda and I were connected through a friend who is such a great connector, Renee Rebar. And when she says, "Hey, I think you should connect with this person," that always makes me go, "Oh, I'm so excited," because I know it's going to be really good. Like there's just so much goodness in there. And I'm excited to talk about building trust because as you did this journey in news and we look at the news that's in the world these days, you can't always trust what you see or what you hear or what you read or anything. And as a business owner, to have the perspective of that newsroom look at things, because it's very different than what is out there when it comes to marketing or when it comes to PR or any of that stuff. Was there something that led you from the newsroom into that leap of entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so I actually spent a decade in between the time when I was in a newsroom to where I am today, working in public relations and working at an agency that specialized in mostly small business clients. And it really kind of opened my eyes to how the other side of the media machine works and really understand how businesses work. And in talking to those founders and seeing so much passion behind their products or their organizations, their businesses, that is one of the things that led me to say, okay, there is a disconnect between what people, audiences, buyers, users, whatever you want to call them, what they're looking for and what PR delivers and what the companies themselves are delivering when it comes to their content. So I wanted to bridge that gap and, make it so that companies are thinking about their content in a way that serves their audiences. And you think of content not as a marketing channel, as a way to go out there and promote yourselves, but to promote the message that your audience needs to receive. And they will naturally learn to trust your business, and that level of transparency with them will build your credibility over time. It will make them more likely to become repeat customers, to become your natural brand advocates, and to build community. So for any modern company, it's like people know when they're being sold to, and it's not enough to just go out there and say, we have the best widget of whatever it is of the widgets that we sell, but to rather look at it from a storytelling perspective of how we relate to your need as an individual, and or how we have the expertise that you need, or we understand what you're going through, or whatever that is. People are looking for connection, not more advertisements. So how do you connect with them?
That is so true. I find that more and more every day is that people are longing for human connection. There's so much, I mean, technology is lovely and wonderful and makes it so that we can do shows like this and have conversations like this and share them. And it also has replaced human connection at some level, especially when it comes to business. I mean, I sometimes you can't find a human when you're trying to deal with some sort of customer service, or
Right.
it's like, is there anybody in there? And I know a lot of people love AI, and I've used AI. I don't have any thing against it itself. However, genuine human connection is always what I'm going to look for. And that's who I'm going to buy from, is the people that am able to connect with.
Right. And I think more and more people are starting to think like you if they weren't previously. And I think people have always bought from brands that they connected to, but I think maybe because there's so much out there and there are so many options, no matter what it is that you're buying, whether you're hiring a business coach or you're buying, salad, there's a lot of factors at play in how you make your choice. And so it's really important, I think, that you talk to the people that you want to talk to. And you touched on something really briefly in the beginning about, the media today isn't what it used to be. And that's absolutely true. And trust in media it's like fallen off the planet. There was one recent study that said, looking at it as an industry and comparing it to other industries, the breakdown there was that only 6% of certain demographics trust television news. It was like 6%. It's not missing a zero in there. No. So people aren't trusting the media anymore. And they definitely are looking for what they can trust. And a lot of them are asking AI, they're asking ChatGPT, they're asking Claude, they're asking Gemini, all kinds of the answers that they need in their life. Philosophical questions. They're asking it everything, looking for help. People are using AI as their therapist and whatever. How do you show up in a way that is genuine to these people? And so that's really what the content that I work with brands to help them create. That's what we're trying to achieve. And because I genuinely feel like the world can be changed through story. And even if you are a company and even if you're for profit, that you still have a story to tell and that you can use your mission for good to make a difference in whoever it is that you're selling a product to or trying to advocate for. So you can do that. I mean, story, it's proven. I mean, the media has done this in both positive ways and negative ways over the years. They can change people's perception. So that's really what this is all about, is just, trying to do the right thing through telling stories.
When you decided to make this pivot into chasing stories in newsrooms to helping people create stories that they tell that represent them, I imagine, I don't know, but I imagine that was a little bit scary at first.
It was. However, I'd say that there really wasn't a pivot. When I was a little girl and I first dreamed of becoming a journalist, my reason for doing so is because I wanted to help people tell their stories. It wasn't about telling my stories. It was always about sharing somebody else's, process, their ideas, the good that they're doing, whatever. So that hasn't changed at all. So yes, it was scary, but in a lot of ways, it was almost getting back to my roots. I feel like the corporate environment that I had slowly started to shift into over the past 3 years or so of my career before transitioning to becoming an entrepreneur, that was a lot scarier. As I entered away from more of storytelling and public relations into more marketing and funnels and understanding like how we convince people to part with their money, much scarier than telling stories.
I can
So
imagine. Oh my
using
God.
story to build community and then relying on that community to become a brand advocate. And yes, it makes you money as a business is a much better way to go about it than, directly trying to convince somebody of, making a purchase that maybe they don't actually need to make.
Did you ever come upon a time when you were like, I'm this isn't for me. I'm going to do something else.
Yes, at a few points in my career. Well, the biggest one being leaving TV news. That job was my dream since I was very young. I knew that I wanted to, I'm the type of person where maybe a little type A, where I'd mapped out my entire career for myself from the time that I was, I don't know, like 12 years old. It was, I'm going to do this by the time I'm 16, and then I'm going to do this by the time I'm 20, and I'm going to do this by the time I'm 30. And I had this whole thing mapped out, and I was on my track that I had set out for myself, and I was succeeding. I was a I was a TV news producer in a top rated show in one of the biggest news markets in the entire country. And I was at a point where the next stepping stone would be to move into a management type of position in a newsroom. And I had to decide, what I realized was that, that position, that opportunity to apply for that position became open. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to apply for it. And I realized I'm like, it's not what I want anymore. And it's not that I didn't want to keep producing news or that I didn't want to keep telling stories. At that point, I was a new mom. Some other things had happened in my life, and I realized the dreams can change. And so I just started on a different pathway. But it took a lot of work for me to basically unlearn what I had convinced myself had to be the way.
Yes.
And move from, but this is the dream. But if you're like living the dream and you're not satisfied, then why keep moving forward with something that's, not serving you well? So that was the biggest career transition of my life. And it was more than that. It was like a personal transition too. It was a really big moment that took quite a bit of therapy to, get through, to say your career does not define you. This is not who you are. Storyteller, yes. TV news producer, that's just the distribution of the skill that you have at the moment. And you can do that in another way. So
I love that. I just want to really acknowledge the courage that it took to do that.
yeah.
Because sometimes we get so caught up in what we think the dream is supposed to look like. We don't listen to those nudges, we don't listen to that intuitive calling that was calling you and saying, this isn't feeling right for you anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and guiding you in another direction. And that took an incredible amount of courage, especially as a new mom, because the TV
Mm-hmm.
producer job was like security, right? It was
Mm-hmm.
like, and when you jump into entrepreneurship, at first nothing feels secure.
No.
And
No.
so, yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Oh, thank you.
I'm giving you 2 high fives right now.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, well, there's a decade in between there, where I feel like I'm really thankful for the job that I fell into whenever I left news. I found a really great home and an agency that served me well for that portion of my career where I really honed my skills. I learned a lot about the business side of things, which set me up to become an entrepreneur myself, working with entrepreneurs all the time, seeing how they set their budgets or how they make their decisions, all of those things, and understanding their pain points. It made me realize, like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And it's not going to be easy, but I really felt a strong pull in the past couple of years to say where the media industry is today and where the public relations industry is, the marketing industry, the SEO industry, there is a huge disconnect. And I really feel like I have the solution here to solve it. And it wasn't just a feeling. Like, if you look at all of the data and all of the research, I have so much to back that up. I said, that's it. I'm doing it. I'm on my own.
I love it. So
Yeah.
for somebody who may be in that place where you were, in that moment of stepping out in faith and that idea, that desire to want something different, stepping away from the security of a job,
Mm-hmm.
is there some tips or strategies or anything that you use to help your mindset or your focus or anything like that as you were making that journey?
Yeah. For one, imposter syndrome can be real, and you do have to have confidence in what you are building. And you cannot, it's so easy to hear advice or feedback from all these different people, including clients. And it really is important that you fully understand your business, why you are stepping into it, who you are serving, and stay very true to that, to your why to begin with. I think that that's really important, especially in these early days. I mean, I'm the end of this month marks 1 year of being basically self-employed, so full time for myself. So it's been a journey, but you can definitely do it. You just have to have confidence in what you're delivering, and understand where that confidence stems from so that you can back it up. That's important. Another thing is really having a solid community of supporters. And this can be family, it can be, other entrepreneurs, networking groups, or all of the above. I certainly have all of the above. Having people that you can depend on, who are understanding your current phase of growth and can connect with you on that level, I think is another really valuable tip. You cannot be a solopreneur alone. You have to have a community to back you up.
That is like gold nugget right there, because speaking as a solopreneur who wears all the hats in my business, without the communities that I have created for myself, I don't know that I would be able to do the things that I do. And so when you say no solopreneur can do it alone, that is like a real truth that you have to clearly understand, right? When you're going out on your own, the sense of creating a community for yourself. We
Yeah.
a lot of times, especially in the beginning when I first started out, I wanted all the friends to understand and support, and I wanted all the people in my personal life to understand and support, and that just was not the way that it went. And so I invested in networking groups, rooms that I actually want to be in, with the people that I want to be around. And so that there is some gold in this conversation. Such a powerful nugget right there.
Thank you. Yeah. And but it's true. And so I have some digital communities that I work closely with. And I am fortunate that I do have family support. My husband is my biggest supporter of all, but I'll also admit that I have family who are supportive, but they don't understand. And so you also need to understand the roles that certain people play in your business. And I say as a solopreneur, but right, we're never alone. Like, I'll take my parents, for example, fabulous supporters of what I do not understand what I do. And that's fine. But, they're still cheering for me and telling all their friends about me. And, that's great. Advocates wherever they come from can be fantastic. So
where can people go to tune into your brilliance? Where can they find you if they went looking?
So I post a lot on LinkedIn. That's a great place to connect with me. Connect with me there. We have the So Now You're a Journalist newsletter, which is a monthly publication for marketers and public relations professionals who are looking for more tips and understanding of the changes that are happening in the media industry. To subscribe to that, it's stories.inyourvoicemediaworks.com. Inyourvoicemediaworks.com is my website as well, so you can find all kinds of stuff there. But yeah, that's the best way to connect.
I love it. If you were to give one piece of advice to a young woman who may be feeling that journalist self, that I think of my granddaughter, because she always wants to know the scoop. She is like very, I call her Nosy Parker sometimes, but I see the bigger picture. Like I see her desire to learn things and know things. And so what would you say to her? And then I have another question after that.
Sure. This is such an exciting time to become a journalist. I don't know when in history, maybe before the invention of the TV, has there been so much movement and so much excitement within this industry and so many opportunities to really build something from scratch. The creator portion of the creator network portion of journalism is the fastest growing part of journalism right now. And there's just Substack, Beehive are two platforms where people are building their own creator journalism platforms. People are supporting them financially through Patreon, through paid subscriptions. It is a really exciting time to be able to have a journalism voice. And people are so desperate right now for voices that they know that they can trust. So if you're thinking about becoming a journalist, my advice is to absolutely do it. Know who you are, what you stand for. And if your reasoning is, from like me, I wanted to, tell people's stories. I wanted to help people understand moments in history that we're living through. And if that's your calling, you can do that. And you can do that as an individual. You can do that with a major publication. You can do that with a brand. The possibilities right now today are so endless. So do it.
I love that. And my follow-up question to that, and you mentioned it in your answer there, the word trust. And when you are looking for information out there, when you are looking for a news source now in today's world, what is something that you look for to discern what is relevant and what is nonsense?
Consistency. And whether you're looking at a piece of data, if you have a piece of data that tells you something, then you're looking for supporting data to back it up. If you are looking for, if somebody gives you a story idea, and you are looking for evidence that is the case, then you're looking for consistency. That's really the answer. Is if somebody's stating a problem, that problem needs to be showing up in all kinds of places. If it's not, then you start, doing boots on the ground, door knocking, well, the digital equivalent of that, interviews, and finding out, is this theory, is there something here? And that's really what you're looking for, is for multiple sources to give you the same kind of answer. And that's how you know that you're on to something that is a source of truth. Never trust just one source. I don't know an editor or a news director I've ever worked with where if you gave them a one-sided story would be like, cool, let's go with it. That's just, no, you always have to hear from multiple voices. And yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Everybody, if you have not tuned into Amanda before now, you are going to want to go to inyourvoicemediaworks.com. You are also going to want to go sign up for her newsletter. So now you're a journalist, and you can find out how to do that on her website. And connect with her on LinkedIn. I will be sharing her links in the description of this interview. And I just want to say thank you for showing up in my world. Thank you for shining your light and for joining us on the show today. I am your host, Stephanie Kathan. You've been listening to the Mind Grow Radio Storyteller Series podcast with the absolutely fabulous Amanda Green as our guest. And until we meet again, keep shining in your brilliance. Bye-bye, everybody.